The Pandora's Box Murders is a pretty great garage sale mystery film. This was released in 2018. It's directed by Neill Fearnley and written by Kraig, Wenman and Suzi Weinert. And of course it stars Loughlin as Jennifer Shannon. And this daughter brings in her recently deceased mother's box into the antique shop, and it's a puzzle box where you have to decipher the codes on the outside in order to open it. And it just so happens that a film crew are making a film about the antique shop. They're doing an episode about the antiques, and they decide that this box would be the perfect subject matter for the show. And there are two parts to the mystery. One involves murders and one involves the box itself. And I definitely worked out who was responsible for part of it, but I will, with a spoiler, explain how I realised, or the moment when I kind of realised who that was. But the other part of it I didn't work out at all. And when it was revealed, it wasn't the most dramatic thing. I wasn't completely shocked by it, but things did make sense, and with hindsight, everything connected together really well. So the narrative is very well written. I think it's quite suspenseful, and part of it is certainly very mysterious. With regards to the box, I'm not that bothered about puzzle boxes and ciphers and things, but if that's something that interests you in general and you like solving those kinds of mysteries, then I think that part of it will appeal really well, because I think it's very well done. We get quite a lot of close-ups of the box and the outside of it, so you can see it in a really good amount of detail, which I thought was very well done. So the main narrative I really enjoyed. We have a few subplots. One involves Hannah dating a police officer, and I don't really care for it. It's padding, it's fluff, it's not bad, but I didn't really find it interesting. The other part involves Logan trying to get a job to raise money because he was having a driving lesson and kind of ran over a mailbox. So he's trying to get a job, and he has various attempts at making money, and he has a nice heart-to-heart with his father at one point. I really liked the way his father handled the situation in particular, so I liked that slightly better than the part of the story focusing on Hannah. But the main interest, of course, was this box and the murders and the mystery surrounding that, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not my favourite of the garage sale mysteries that I've seen. I think that's partly because it's just not as dramatic, and there are not as many dramatic reveals. It's a lot slower, but it is mysterious. So depending on what you're looking for, you might like it more or less than some of the others. Personally, I liked it better than some and less than others. It's very much a middle-of-the-road kind of film, but either way, I enjoyed it. And yes, I will now tell you the bit where I worked out who was responsible for at least one part of the mystery. So this is a spoiler, I guess kind of a big spoiler for one part of the film. So I have nothing else to say about the film other than I definitely recommend it. So, pretty sizable spoiler from now, and the part I'm going to be spoiling is the mystery of the missing box. The box goes missing, and about 30 seconds after it went missing, I was 99% sure I knew who was responsible. But of course, I was still interested enough to keep watching it. And I'm not going to say who was responsible for the murders, but by telling you who was responsible for the missing box, that does kind of suggest who at least wasn't responsible for the murders. And the person who was responsible for the missing box was Joel. And the reason I knew it was Joel, or I was very, very confident in the belief that it was Joel, is because pretty much as soon as it went missing, he said something to the effect of, there were a few customers in here earlier, or there were a couple of customers in earlier, something like that. And the way he said it immediately was a red flag to me. And obviously that alone wasn't enough to be convinced that it was him who took it, but there was just something about it and the delivery of the line and how quickly he jumped to that conclusion. It was like he was trying to take the heat away from himself, and I was really very, very confident that he was responsible for that, and of course he was. But the murder aspect, no idea. I had no idea at all. I don't like working things out too quickly, or I don't like being very sure of something too quickly, but because it was just the theft of the box and not horrific murders. It wasn't quite so bad. Either way, though, I still enjoyed it. I thought the Pandora's Box Murders was a pretty good garage sale mystery film.